We are re-embarking on number 3. I've just completed a presentation on Steve Jobs and Eve, or Jesus Christ. Now you would think, what has these people got in common? Yes, a lot. And he has just showed himself to be that savior, like Christ died and he rose again, and he's seen as the savior. Well, Steve Jobs has been that savior of technology, we could say. And the numbers, the vibration speaks the volumes. So I'm doing this next presentation to really highlight so many synchronicities that has happened. And I don't know about like the resurrection, well, whether Steve Jobs rose from the grave on the third day or anything to that effect, but we could say he's still alive and well. Um, not kicking, but pleasing quite a few people with their laptops and phones and iPhones and so on. So, I found it a very interesting exercise to really see how Steve Jobs, which I've done, as I say, I did the presentation quite a while back, but I realized the word Job, as in the scriptures, had a strong correlation. The word Steve has Eve in it, and of course, the S at the beginning of the word Steve really speaks volume of the serpent element. The serpent, let's not say the snake so much, but the serpent, where Eve is the serpent in the garden. So it's like saying, has God said you shall not surely die? But it's that Eve has been the serpent. The serpent is able to transform itself. And we've seen this, or we learn of this in the story of Moses and Pharaoh, where they had their rod, and of course, God said to Moses, well, strike your rod down, and it became a serpent. So it's the same story, it's the same essence. That is also saying of us when we are in the line of transformation and doing a new thing, we need to be flexible. So we get broken or we get struck down with some issue or something critical happens and that breaks us down, and there is where we have to really be wise in how we handle these situations. So this is just to cover this small element. I need to remember, I am remembering that I've got to make this video short. Okay, so just to continue on Steve Jobs and what we found out. So we got the correlation of the mouth. So basically we saw, I will urge that you watch this first part so you can get the essence of this. So when Eve ate of the fruit, the word ate equals ate. In the mouth, so it's basically it is the like a template, and the mouth actually encompasses that template. So although we see that the number 8, as in all realm, seem to hold a different value to number 5, which is the mouth, but the mouth is really that which gives out and receives, if you like. We can spit out, we can suck in, we eat, we sing, we yawn, we breathe, we do so many different things, we kiss. I think I did count about 15 things that we can do with our mouth. We whistle, and it's just to ensure we blow, that we can take in consideration the extent of things that we can do with our mouths. And that in itself gives a clear indication of the expansion of the symbol of infinity, that it can really it can really facilitate that symbol of infinity. So the words that we utter with our mouths, because the mouth is five as well, it's the number of change, it's the number of growth, it's the number that takes us to the third eye and illuminate our senses. We speak of five senses, we speak of five digits. With this, there's so many fives. So we have those, and so we can see that five seem to encompass or facilitate so much, and that's why now we have the number eight as set as the template. So that's what we also discovered, that the word Steve equals eight, like coinciding with Mother Eve who ate of the fruit. Now, is it by chance, I am asking, is it by chance that Steve Jobs or his job was to really reinvent Mother Eve? That's what it seemed like to me, that Eve, or Eve in Steve form, has come to reinvent the eating of the apple. So of course the apple is no longer in the mouth. We've got it at our fingertips right now. And it is also said that that God created the world with his hands. Or in the beginning was the word, the word was with God, of course. 17, number 17 has the direct correlation with Steve. Steve and God is the same. So in the beginning was the word, and the word, of course, we see correlates with that eating. Now we see that the word, of course, with Job and Eve, uh, this is really, as we say with the apple is all around. It's like we have apple in abundance now. The apple has multiplied, that we are not just eating it, we always have it at our fingertips. So I see this story of using the of numerology really an instrument to really help us with the discovering the essence of that story. And I also I may have to do another video on this. I think I'm going to have to do this, because just to ensure that I keep this short. So as I say, adding Steve Jobs together, of course, that equals 9. Now, we had been dealing with the number 3, and we see that 3 threes are 9. So basically, that coincides with the story of Christ quite well, in the sense of Christ rose again on the third day, and there was he was so many things happen consecutively, of 3 days or 3 hours or three, so many things were happening then. So which I'm going to explore this a little bit more, but we can always Google this as well, which I must say encourage you to do. And so there were so many things there, and we can see that the story of Christ coming to die or coming to save mankind by dying, and of course, I don't know how many people Steve Jobs had working with him on the initial thing. Did he have 12 people at one time? I don't know about the discipleship, but I do know that there is a strong correlation with that of his story, and of course of Christ, and that of Mother Eve, because it is so close that the word Steve entails or encapsulate Eve. And of course Eve, now there's another thing I found out. As I say, I may have to do another presentation. I also have showed how Steve coincides, or Steve Jobs also, when we do the numerical value for the 9, the word 9, it coincides with 6, that which is Mother Eve of the God. So my question is it by chance that Steve really found the his true God, that he worked on the instruction and guardianship of the God, or the said God, the God of words, who of course ate of the apple? And Is it by chance that we see that the apple is bitten as well? Could it be that Steve Jobs had a very insightful um, a very insightful message or understanding of his role in this realm, who he was, and what he was meant to do? Could there be, could it have been possible that he knew exactly that he was meant to work under the guardianship of the said God, Mother Eve? Now, I've just Googled the story again, which I'm going to do another video because I just realized while just about after I've done the first video that Steve also named his daughter Eve. So we have Eve Jobs. So I'm going to do another video on this. Do join me again. By the way, I'm Crime Queen in case you hadn't joined or seen me or joined me for the first before. So thank you for joining us and stick around. Let's have some fun with these numbers. Okay, thank you.